वेलकम फ्रेंड्स। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं आज की वीडियो। तो हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे नॉवल, जिससे हम लोग इंग्लिश फ्लुएंट हो सके। तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं। नॉवल का नाम था 3 Men in a Boat। तो हम लोगों ने चैप्टर 6 तक पढ़ लिया था। तो आज से पढ़ेंगे चैप्टर 7, द लाफिंग टिन। When we finished breakfast, the sun was up and it was a warm morning. I sat on the river bank near Runnymede. I thought about King John, who signed the Magna Carta at Runnymede in 115. What a great moment in English history! I imagined the scene. George came over and said, "When you finish resting and dreaming, please help me wash the dishes and other things." I cleaned the frying pan with some grass and with George's wet shirt. Later on, we went to Magna Carta, Iceland. We saw the stone where the Magna Carta was signed. In this area, King Henry VIII met with his sweetheart, Anne Boleyn. I am certain that King Henry VIII met Anne Boleyn in several other places too. We continued slowly up the river and stopped for lunch near Monkey Island. We had cold meat for lunch. "Where's the mustard?" I asked. "The mustard?" Harry said. We had forgotten to bring the mustard. At that moment, we all wanted mustard more than anything in the world. "How boring life is without mustard," said George. We ate our cold meat in silence. We thought about the happy days of childhood when there was lots of mustard on the table. The adult world can be a cruel place. All three of us loved tinned fruit. George brought out a tin of pineapple. This was perfect to make us forget the mustard. We felt that life was smiling at us again. "Look at the picture on the tin," said Harris. "Ah, I can't wait," I said. "I am dreaming about the sweet juice." George said. Harris got a spoon ready. Then we looked for the tin opener. We took everything out of the 2 hampers. We took everything out of the bag. We looked in every corner of the boat. There was no tin opener. Harris tried to open the tin with a little knife and he cut himself. George tried to open it with a pair of scissors. The scissors flew up and almost cut his eye. I tried to open it with a piece of metal. I did something wrong because I fell into the river. The tin flew away and broke a teacup. Then we all got angry. I started hitting the tin with a piece of wood. Harris hit the tin and so did George. We changed its shape. We made it square. We made it round. Then we made it flat, but still could not open it. The tin looked at us and seemed to be laughing. It was ugly and it frightened us. I threw it in the river. Then we rowed away and did not stop until we reached Maidenhead. It was evening and a strong wind started blowing. The wind was behind us and we put up the sail quickly. The wind blew and the boat flew up the river. I was staring at the boat. I and George and Harris were enjoying the trip. Sailing is exciting. It's almost like flying. You feel that you are part of nature. We were alone and we flew along the river. Far in the distance, we saw a small fishing boat. There were 3 fishermen in it. The sun was going down and there was a red light on the water. The river seemed magic. It was like a dream. We felt that we are sailing into a strange land. We did not sail into a strange land. We sailed straight into the fishing boat with the 3 old fishermen. At first, we did not know what was happening, but when we heard the bad words that came from the other boat, we knew we are near people. We also knew that those people were not happy. The 3 old fishermen fell off their seats. There were fish all over them. They slowly tried to get up. As they did this, they cursed us. They did not curse us with common curses. They used long special curses. They also cursed our parents, families, friends, neighbors, pets, and jobs. These curses were for the present and the future. Harris stood up and said, "Be thankful for a bit of excitement in your lives. Your lives must be so boring, just sitting and fishing all day. My friends and I are very unhappy to hear men of your age use such bad words." The three old men did not agree with Harris. "I will steer the boat now, Jay," said George. "An intelligent man like you most do better things. Leave the steering to me before we all drown." Chapter 8, Montmorency meets a cat. At Marlow, we left our boat by the bridge. We spent the night at the Crown Hotel. The next morning, we went swimming before breakfast. On the way back, Montmorency met a cat. Montmorency and I don't agree on cats. I like cats. Montmorency does not. When I meet a cat, I stop and say hello. I pet. I eat gently. The cat is happy and I am too. When Montmorency meets a cat, the whole street knows about it. A lots of bad words fly through the air. As soon as Montmorency saw the cat, he barked with happiness. The cat was walking slowly across the street. Montmorency ran after the cat. But the cat did not run. He did not understand that his life was in danger. This cat was big and black. It had half a tail, half a nose, and only one ear. It was a clever street cat. Montmorency is a courageous dog, but the cold eyes of that cat terrified him. The cat stopped in the middle of the road and looked at Montmorency. Neither spoke, but the conversation was probably like this. "Cat, yes, you want me. Can I do anything for you?" Montmorency, "No, no thanks." "Cat, if you really want something, please tell me." Montmorency, walking backwards, "Oh no, not at all. Don't disturb yourself. I am afraid I made a mistake. I thought I know you. Sorry I disturbed you." "Cat, not at all. It's a pleasure. Are you sure you don't want anything now?" Montmorency, still walking backwards, "No, thanks. Nothing at all. Thanks. Very kind of you." "Good morning, cat. Good morning." The cat got up and walked away. Montmorency came back and followed us quietly. He was silent all day long. To this day, if you say the word cats to Montmorency, he will stop walking. Then he will look up at you, as if you to say, "Please don't." After this, we did our shopping, returned to the boat and continued our trip up the river. At Hambledon Lock, we discovered that we had no water. We went to the lockkeeper to ask for some. George spoke for us. With a friendly smile he asked, "May we have some water, please?" "Certainly," said the old lockkeeper. "Take as much as you want and leave the rest." "Thank you very much," said George, looking around. "Where is the water?" "It's where it always is," said the lockkeeper. "It's behind you." George turned around and looked. "I don't see it." "What? Where are your eyes?" the lockkeeper said. He took George's arm and turned him around. "Oh," George said, "but we can't drink the river." "No, but you can drink some of it," said the lockkeeper. "I have drunk river water for the past 15 years. "Well, sir, I don't think you look very healthy after drinking all that river water, but thank you anyway," George said. We left the lockkeeper's place and we found some water at another house. We towed the boat past Hanley and stopped near Wargrave for lunch. We were sitting in a green field near the river. Harris was cutting a meat pie. George and I were waiting with our dishes. "I need a spoon," said Harris. The hamper was behind us. George and I both turned around to get a spoon. In 5 seconds, we had the spoon. When we turned back, Harris and the meat pie were gone, disappeared. It was a wide, open field. There were no trees nearby. Harris did not fall into the river because the river was far from us. George and I looked all around. Then we looked at each other. Has he gone up to heaven? I asked. Angels don't take meat pies to heaven, George said. You are right, I agreed. Then there has been an earthquake. George said, I am sorry he had the meat pie with him. Sadly, we looked at the place where Harris and the meat pie were sitting. Then, with horror, we saw Harris' head. Only his head, it was in the grass. His face was red and furious. George was the first to speak. Say something. Are you dead or alive? Where is your body? Oh, don't be an idiot, Harris shouted. I think you made this happen. You told me to sit there. It's your stupid joke. Here, take the pie. Harris did not know it, but he had been sitting next to a big hole. The long grass covered it. He fell into the deep hole without knowing anything. At first, he thought that he was the end of the world. Harris is still thinking that George and I planned it all. Chapter 9. Fighting Swans. After lunch, a gentle wind pushed us up the river past Wargrave and Ship Lake. We got out of the boat at Soning and walked around the village. Soning is a lovely village. Everything is clean and beautiful. Each house is covered with roses. We decided to return to one of the Ship Lake Island to spend the night. George said, let's have a special supper tonight. Let's make an Irish stew. We can put everything into one big pan. What a wonderful idea, Harris and I said. I will get the wood and make a fire, George said. You two can peel the potatoes. This was a very big job. We were happy and excited, but when we peeled our first potato, we understood that this was not exciting, it was hard work. The first potato we peeled looked like a pea. George looked at it and said, no, no, no. There's no potato left. Do it like this. We worked hard for half an hour, but we peeled only 4 potatoes. We refused to continue. Well, just put the potatoes in without peeling them. Let's add some carrot and other vegetables. Look in the hampers and take out all the pieces of old food. We will put them in the stew. You can put anything in a stew. We found half a pork pie, a tin of fish and a few broken eggs. We added these to the stew. Montmorency washed us carefully and then left. After a while he returned with a dead rat in his mouth. He wanted to add something to the stew too. We discussed it first. Harry said it's alright to add the dead rat. It will be mixed with the other things. A stew needs many ingredients. George said, well, I don't want to try anything new. Maybe next time. I'm sorry, Montmorency, Harry said. If you never try anything new, you will never discover things. It's men like you, George, who slow down the progress of our world. George did not listen to Harris. The stew was a great success. It was delicious, excellent in every way. We all really enjoyed it. After the Harris stew, George and I decided to go to Henley for an evening walk. Harris wanted to stay on the boat and drink a whiskey. When he returned to the boat, Harris was sad and confused. What happened to you, Harris? Swans, he said. We had left the boat near Swan's nest when George and I were in Henley. Mrs. Swan came back to the nest. She started to shout at Harris. Harris frightened her away. She went to get her husband, Mr. Swan. Harris had a terrible fight with these two swans. Harris finally won the fight. However, half an hour later, Mr. and Mrs. Swan returned with 18 other swans. There was a horrible fight. The swans attacked Harris and tried to pull him off the boat. They wanted to drown Harris, and Montgomery Harris fought with courage for 4 hours. In the end, the swans slowly swam away to die. How many swans were there? George asked. 32, said Harris, who was sleepy. But you said 18 before, George said. No, I did not. I said 12. Do you think I can't count? We never discovered the truth about the swans. We asked Harris it the next morning. He said, what swans? He thought that George and I were dreaming. That night Harris had trouble sleeping. He woke me up about 12 times during the night. He was looking for his clothes. George woke up too. Why do you need your trousers? It's the middle of the night, George said. Later, Harris was looking for his shoes. Then he asked for his socks and his umbrella. He woke up late the next morning. We had a small breakfast and we were ready to go. We agreed that we would row the boat and not tow it. Harris said, George, you and Jay can row. I will steer. I did not like this idea, and I said, no Harris, you and George row, so that I can rest. I was doing too much work on this trip. I always think that I work too much. It's not because I don't like work, I love it. I find it very interesting. I can sit and look at it for hours. You can't give me too much work. I like collecting it. My office is full of it. I'm very careful with my work too. Some of the work in my office has been there for years. It is in perfect condition. It is not dirty or anything. That's because I take good care of it. Harry said, on this boat I am the only one who works. George said, you do nothing but eat and sleep. Harris, I am the only one who works. You and Jay are very lazy people. Harris laughed and said, George work. Have you ever seen George work? I agreed with Harris. George never worked. How do you know? If I work, Harris, you are always sleeping except at meal times. Have you ever seen Harris awake except at meal times? George asked me. I agreed with George. Harris worked very little on the boat. Oh, please, I do more work than old Jay. Harris said, well, it's difficult to do less work than old Jay, George added. Old Jay thinks he is a passenger and does not need to work, Harris said. After this discussion, I said to Harris, you and George row the boat up to reading. At reading, I will tow it. Chapter 9 ended. So, जैसा कि आप लोग जानते हैं कि हम लोगों ने चैप्टर 9 तक पढ़ लिया है, तो आप लोग चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दीजिए, जिससे कि आने वाली वीडियोस आप लोगों को मिलती रहें. थैंक यू.